We have weapons that nobody knows about. And I say it's probably good not to talk about them, but we have some. They even talk about the discombobulator because they never got a shot off. The Russian equipment didn't work, the Chinese equipment didn't work. Everyone's trying to figure out why it didn't work.
3 Ocak 2026 gecesi Venezuela'nın başkenti Caracas'ta duyulan patlamalar ve uçak seslerinin ardından Amerika Birleşik Devletleri'nin Venezuela'ya bir operasyon başlattığı ortaya çıktı. Hedefte ülkenin lideri Nicolas Maduro ve eşi vardı. Operasyonun ardından Maduro ve eşi Amerika Birleşik Devletleri tarafından esir alındı. Operasyonun yankıları devam ederken ortaya yeni bir iddia atıldı. Buna göre Amerika, Venezuela'da gizemli bir silah kullanmıştı.
Lights of Caracas were largely turned off.
Donald Trump, Venezuela'daki savunma sistemlerini felç eden bu teknolojinin adını discombobulator olarak açıkladı.
They even talk about the discombobulator because they never got a shot off. The Russian equipment didn't work, the Chinese equipment didn't work. Everyone's trying to figure out why it didn't work. Someday you're gonna find out.
Basında yer alan bazı iddialara göre olay sırasında bölgede bulunan askerlerin kulaklarından kan geldi, kafataslarında yoğun bir basınç hissettiler. Tüm bu gelişmelerin ardından kamuoyunda yönlendirilmiş enerji silahı ve Havana sendromu tartışmaları yeniden alevlendi.
His policies are advancing opportunity and prosperity for all Americans through record tax cuts, through the Trump accounts that all Americans can access.
Peki gerçekten böyle gizemli bir silah var mı? Ya da discombobulator diye bir şey var mı? Bu gerçek bir silah mı yoksa bir politik söylem ya da propaganda mı?
They even talk about the discombobulator because they never got a shot off.
Bu soruları güvenlik çalışmaları alanında uzman East Carolina Üniversitesi'nden Dr. Armin Krishnan'a sorduk. Hello, Mr. Krishnan. Welcome to Odatv.
Thank you very much for having me on your show. I'm very excited to be here.
Can you please introduce yourself to Odatv readers?
I'm Armin Krishnan. I'm an associate professor at East Carolina University, and I teach American foreign policy, intelligence studies, and international security. And my research specializes in military technology and hybrid warfare, covert action. And I've recently written a book on Havana syndrome.
So, Mr. Krishnan, what are these non-lethal directed energy weapons?
Well, these are actually two concepts. One concept is non-lethal weapons, which goes back to the 1960s. So these are weapons designed for riot control purposes originally. So things like rubber bullets, tasers, and flashbang grenades. So that's very much established, and they have been used also in a military context. So for peacekeeping operations, they have been applied widely by law enforcement agencies. And there is a new type of non-lethal weapon that uses directed energy. So directed energy weapons are weapons that use directed energy to produce a weapon's effect. And there are different types of them. So they are acoustic weapons. So these can use audible sound, so very loud noise. And then there are potentially ultrasound and infrasound weapons that have been at least explored, but we don't have any known examples of them. So they are possible theoretically, but no government admits that they are having them. Then there are so-called high-powered microwaves, which are used for attacking electronics. So that they produce an EMP-like effect that fries electronics, and that can disable equipment. Then there is a so-called millimeter wave weapon or active denial system, which causes a burning sensation on exposed skin and forces people to move away. So that has been known since 2000. So it's a established weapons technology. And then there are lasers. So lasers can be used for can be used for attacking drones or for missile defense and air defense, but they can also be used in a non-lethal capacity, which is the dazzling lasers. So you can temporarily disorient people by using a dazzling laser, so that will temporarily blind them and it will. That's an established weapons technology, and governments have them. So these are the known non-lethal directed energy weapons. And then there are potentially those weapons that we don't know about. And
like the
there's
one
a reason
that,
why
that
they are
Trump, like the one that Trump mentioned before, like the discombobulator.
Yes, so that goes back to an expose that was appearing after the Venezuela military attack of January 3rd. And there was a claim that the United States military used a new type of directed energy weapon, potentially a sonic weapon or acoustic weapon, that was causing people to vomit blood, to hear extreme noises and pressure inside of the skull, and to be paralyzed. So no such weapon has been known to exist. And there are some similarities to Havana syndrome, and there's speculation that the US government may have developed a Havana syndrome type weapon and may have used this weapon in the Venezuela raid. But we don't know any particular details, and the story is not very much confirmed. We know that the White House press speaker, Caroline Leavitt, she was reposting that exposed and she said, pay attention to it.
Yes.
So indirectly acknowledging that the US may have this type of weapons technology.
Yes. And you mentioned about Havana syndrome. We know it, but we don't know any further details about Havana syndrome. We just read. But can you please explain us what is this Havana syndrome? Is it similar to these allegations in Venezuela, like bleeding from the ear and vomiting? Is it similar to that?
A little bit. So it all started back in late 2016 when US diplomats were seemingly getting attacked in Cuba. And the first speculation was that it was a sonic weapon that could have been used. So there were originally 21 American diplomats and 14 Canadian diplomats who were affected by summer 2017. And there were multiple investigations into the causes of the anomalous health incidents, that's how the government called them. And there was speculation that a secret weapon was used for attacking people covertly. And there were several potential mechanisms for that weapon. One was that it was a sonic weapon, potentially using ultrasound or infrasound, but ultrasound would be much more likely. And then there's the theory that it was pulsed microwaves. And that was also a conclusion of the the National Academy of Sciences study that was carried out in 2020. And the US government has not acknowledged that these weapons exist, and they even haven't fully acknowledged that their people have been attacked. So there is some contradiction going on. And my speculation is that the US government is aware of those weapons and that they have been researching those weapons. And there has been an acknowledgement recently that the Biden administration acquired such a weapon, likely from Russia, and they paid over $10 million for it. And they are researching that weapon. And also the latest news is that a researcher in Norway was trying to build a Havana syndrome type weapon based on pulsed microwaves. And the researcher believed that he could disprove that there is a potential weapons effect from pulsed microwaves. And sadly, he tested the weapon on himself and suffered brain damage as a consequence. So this kind of weapons mechanism seems to be feasible. And it seems to be likely that other governments may have this technology as well. And in particular, that the Russians may have used this type of weapon to attack US personnel in various countries. So there are more than a dozen countries where anomalous health incidents have occurred. So you could potentially incapacitate people. And that's what's happening with the Havana syndrome. So I can describe the effects a little bit. So people hear some very loud noise, and they can't determine the origin of the noise. And they feel pressure inside of the skull. And there is vestibular disturbances, so they have balance issues. They have very strong headaches. And there's an effect on their eyes, so there are visual distortions. And those effects can be long-lasting. Sometimes people who have been targeted or are likely to have been targeted have experienced those effects for months or even years after they have been attacked. So these are very serious kinds of effects on the health of people. And sometimes attacked personnel can't even go back to work, so they are forced to retire as a consequence of those attacks.
Oh, I see. So they say the damages are temporary, but it can last for years, you say?
Yes, in some cases, and the victims have been suffering from this for several years. And they may have been only attacked a couple of times. So there seems to be a pattern that people suffer more than one attack. And one attack can last several minutes to produce a serious effect. So there's a rapid onset. So it's not something that requires long-term exposure. So the exposure time can be relatively short. So that's the novelty of this type of weapon.
Okay, then. So how do these weapons change the modern warfare? What do you think about this?
Well, at the moment, we have few examples of those weapons to be seen in the field. So there has been some speculation that directed energy weapons may have been used during the Iraq War in 2003. So there are people who have suffered unusual burns. So we may have already seen some uses of those kinds of directed energy weapons against people. However, these uses are not very well documented, and there's a lot of speculation. What I see as a great danger is that those weapons could be used for domestic repression. So authoritarian governments can use those weapons against dissidents and other kinds of troublemakers, so to covertly attack them and silence them. And then there is the possibility of using those weapons for covertly attacking enemy personnel in other countries, which we have seen with the Havana syndrome. So a lot of intelligence officers were attacked, apparently from 2016 into cases until 2023, and then we don't have much information what has been happening since. But it is notable that a lot of CIA officers were victims of those attacks. So you can attack the leadership of a country and degrade decision-making. That is a possibility. And you may be able to scale up attacks so that you could attack multiple people at a time or larger groups of people at the same time. And you may use that in preparation of a kinetic attack to soften up the target, so disorient people and make it easier to kill them in a military attack. And that seems to have happened on January 3rd in Venezuela. I don't know whether it's actually true, but it's a plausible story.
I see. So there is no evidence that they have been used or not in Venezuela right now, but for this moment, you say?
At the moment, we only have a story circulating on the internet from this supposed security guard who says that he was present at the time of the attack and that he witnessed effects that cannot be explained by any kind of conventional weapons technology. And it would be nice to have some confirmation of the story, and it would be nice to have the name of the person so that we can check reposting by Caroline Levitt and the comment by President Trump, and a lot of speculation. So that makes it uncertain to me, but it's plausible.
I see. So it can also be used for propagandas for the countries also, I guess.
You mean it can be used for psychological warfare to scare enemy populations and other militaries? Yes, absolutely. So one of the effects of the Havana syndrome weapon is actually that it can induce extreme emotion, such as fear and panic. So that has been also reported. So it can be used as a tool of psychological warfare. It can induce paranoia, and potentially it can affect mental health. If people get exposed more than once, so people become scared and paranoid, and that can be a desired outcome. But we don't have any government acknowledging or admitting that they have those weapons. So we know that there is official research into anti-material directed energy weapons. So in particular, the high-powered microwaves are of a high interest to the militaries, as well as the lasers. However, we don't know very much about the anti-personnel kind of applications and capabilities that these weapons also may have. And the problem is human testing. So human subject research that would be unethical, because you would deliberately expose people to harm. And this means that governments can't do that openly. So they have to do it covertly. And there is a similar kind of danger with respect to developing those kinds of weapons. So there's speculation that the Russians have developed those weapons. Going back all the way to the 1960s. There's speculation that the Chinese have developed those weapons since the 1990s. There's speculation that the US has developed those weapons since the 1980s. And I've also heard that Iran may be having those kinds of weapons. And we've seen those weapons being used in Cuba, so potentially the Cuban government has also access to those weapons. So there could be a whole lot of states who have potentially that technology and access to those weapons. We just don't know for sure.
Thank you very much, Mr. Krishnan.
Thank you very much for having me on your show. It was a pleasure.